Donald Trump may have won the 2024 election, but the real president is Elon Musk, who is now facing a backlash in polls and nationwide protests for unilaterally eliminating government programs without any oversight from anyone, including apparently Trump himself. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. You know, I personally thought the first 3 weeks of Donald Trump's presidency were going pretty badly. You know, after he started with record low approval ratings and judges blocked several of his executive orders, and he reportedly freaked out the entire country of Denmark, and he sent out a memo freezing all government spending that confused everyone, including his own party, and unleashed chaos and threatened everything from local fire departments to veteran services to Meals on Wheels. Then he rescinded that order after a national backlash and offered buyouts to the entire federal workforce. Before that was also blocked by a judge, then plunged the nation into a trade war with two of our closest allies and neighbors that lasted 48 hours and got Canadians so riled up, they boycotted Tennessee whiskey, booed our national anthem, and let loose a barrage of furious insults like this.
Guys, just cut it out. Just stop it.
That's Canadian for go eat a bag of Ma'am, I know you're upset, but you cannot use language like that on this show. I'm sorry, everyone. Obviously, we're going to have to bleep that when it airs in Toronto. In Canada, language like that gets you an NC-17 rating, which stands for not courteous. It's not. Then American companies panicked and Trump caved in return for stuff Canada and Mexico already did during the Biden administration. Then he floated a plan for taking over the Gaza Strip, and I guess putting a sandals there, and even Republican senators balked, and his own White House walked it back, but then he doubled down on a plan that was so insane, it made his own chief of staff look like a mom whose 5-year-old just blurted out, "Mommy, look, that lady is fat." I thought that all seemed, bad, but then I turned into state TV, AKA Fox News, and it turns out that actually, you guys, Trump is crushing it.
Just look at what he's done since we've been in. It's been so fast and so rapid that even the left-wing media can't keep up with how much good we're doing.
There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it.
But that makes no sense. If it's good news, then you should want people to keep up with it. You know, when you see one of those commercials for Now That's What I Call Music, the scroll, moves slowly enough for you to see every song you're getting because you like those songs. I mean, I guess if it were the Trump White House, they'd do it like this. Hey, do you like music? Call now, and you'll have all these classic hits and so many more. There are so many you don't even know what you're getting. Call now at 555-016-545-32807 try to keep up. Of course, that's the point. That's the point. They don't want you to keep up because the stuff they're doing, most of which they never mentioned during the campaign, is very unpopular. The latest and most egregious example is billionaire Elon Musk's de facto takeover of the federal government. He and a small team of unaccountable hatchet men are apparently barging into government offices and accessing government computers and deciding which agencies to eliminate and who to fire and what to cut without any oversight from anyone. I mean, do we really want this guy doing to the government what he did to Twitter from now on? When you log into government websites, you're what, just going to be inundated with ads for Cheech and Chong weed gummies? So I'm not thrilled about it, and polls show most Americans are unhappy too. Musk's poll numbers are even falling amongst Republicans, so he's not getting great reviews from the American people, but he is getting glowing testimonials from his employees like this regional manager.
He's done a great job. Look at all the fraud that he's found in this U.S. AID. It's a disaster what the people, radical left lunatics, they have things that nobody would have even believed. The whole thing with $100 million spent on you-know-what?
No. I don't know what. Do you? Why do we have to fill in the missing details in the president's sentences? This is like when my wife's looking out the window and she says, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "What?" And she says, "I just can't believe this." And I'm like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "This is unreal." And then I finally have to get up and go look, and it's just like, the mailman's wearing shorts. I feel like we're playing a real-time version of Mad Libs.
They have
noun, adjective,
would have been
verb,
the
pronoun,
with
number,
spent on
completely made-up thing.
But Trump would rather say Elon is cutting you-know-what than actually fill in what Elon is cutting because A, Trump doesn't know what he's cutting, and B, what he's cutting would be very unpopular.
More than 20,000 federal workers are taking part in a buyout program modeled by Musk.
Workers at the main office of USAID unexpectedly told to stay home today.
We know where Musk may be looking next. The Department of Education,
the Treasury Department, NOAA, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the Labor Department, even the Transportation Department.
Musk is targeting the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, our federal weather agency,
as well as the building of its parent agency, the Department of Commerce in Washington. They apparently just sort of walked past security and said, "Get out of my way." Musk staffers have also gained access to payment and contracting systems at the extremely important and crucial Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Newly minted Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy posted today on Musk's platform, quote, "Big news, talk to the Doge team. They're going to plug in to help upgrade our aviation system."
Our aviation system? So now our planes will be controlled by a guy who can't even get himself off the ground? So how demented do you have to have an axe to grind with the Federal Weather Agency? They're just a bunch of scientists who study clouds. If you're going to go after someone in the weather industry, maybe go after the guys who charge $20 for a $3 umbrella whenever it rains. You know, one time, true story, I'm on my way out of 30 Rock, and I saw some guys selling umbrellas on the street, and I said, "That's price gouging." And they said, "Too bad." And I said, "Like hell, I'm paying $20 for an umbrella." And then they started wailing on me. Well, I got really mad and screamed.
Guys, just cut it out. Just stop it.
And they didn't cut it out, I'll tell you that much. So how is Musk deciding what to keep and what to cut? Let's listen to him describe his philosophy on government. Maybe it's not so bad.
I think we need to go in and do wholesale removal of regulations. Like, regulations basically should be default gone. Default gone, not default there, default gone. And if it turns out that we missed the mark on a regulation, we always add it back in.
Yeah, totally. We just get rid of all regulations by default. And if it turns out there's some crazy reason we couldn't possibly have anticipated for why we need, I don't know, food safety inspections or federal approvals of pharmaceuticals or aviation guidelines or clean water regulations or baby formula testing or rules against dumping toxic waste into rivers and making the fish glow like Mr. Burns, we just say, "Oops, my bad," and we put them back in. And if you had any doubt at all that what we're seeing is essentially just a billionaire coup, here are your elected officials explaining that they were barred from government buildings that you pay for on the orders of Elon Musk.
This was the scene today at the United States Agency for International Development, better known as USAID. A group of Senate and House Democrats were blocked from even entering the agency's headquarters in Washington, D.C.
We went inside. We asked to enter the AID building. We were denied entry based on the order that they received from Elon Musk and Doge.
Okay, first of all, I'd be so embarrassed if I was a senator and I couldn't enter a building based on something called Doge, which, as a reminder, started as a meme of a Shiba Inu. That would be like yelling, "I demand entry," and then having an iced tea sipping Kermit tell you, "But that's none of my business." I mean, this is insane. An unelected billionaire ordered our elected representatives to be barred from a government building we pay for. If our own lawmakers aren't allowed into these buildings, then who is?
We have identified a 25-year-old engineer who previously worked for both SpaceX and X, companies with one thing in common. They share an owner in Elon Musk, who now has direct access to Treasury Department systems that are responsible for nearly all payments made by the U.S. government. So that includes federal tax returns, Social Security benefits, veterans pay, payouts to federal contractors.
OPM has also found itself infiltrated by at least one of Elon Musk's very young acolytes. Wired uncovered a number of these young men, including a 19-year-old named Edward Korestein, who appears to have recently graduated from high school and to have been enrolled at Northeastern University. Employees at the Government Services Administration tell Wired that Korestein has appeared on calls where workers were made to go over code they had written and justify their jobs to the college freshmen.
Imagine being a career civil servant and having to justify your job to a 19-year-old. It's the government, not a Chipotle. "Hey, Bert, Dale, I know I just got promoted to manager and you're 15 years my senior, but you guys need to treat me with the respect I deserve. When I ask where the guacamole is, you can't tell me it's in the walk-in fridge and then lock the door. It's cold in there. What I'm saying is..."
Guys, just cut it out. Just stop it.
Now, if this outrages you, you're not alone. Protests have erupted at government buildings and in cities across the country. Thankfully, we We have an energetic and clear-eyed opposition party that can effectively channel the anger of over half the country by showing up to those protests and holding press conferences where they electrify the crowd with chants like this.
We will win. We will win. We will win. We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Okay, but can you go rest, Grandpa? You're embarrassing us. You sound like you're trying to keep everyone on a road trip from falling asleep. We won't rest. We won't. Come on, everyone. 99 bottles of beer. 99 bottles of what? Beer. Trump and Musk are unpopular, and what they're doing is even more unpopular. People can see with their own eyes that billionaires are carving up the government for themselves. At least half the country is angry, and they want an opposition party that will channel that anger and stand up to a Trump who most people agree is a...
You know what?
This has been a closer look.
Thanks for watching.